Human trafficking is occurring in the United States, in our own backyards, and any community that denies that it's happening is just not informed.
26 seconds. 26 seconds.
The average age in California for a young person, primarily girls, they say 1 out of 6 is a boy, to get involved in this is between 12 and 14 years of age. So these are young kids, our kids, throughout the state and throughout the country that are becoming involved in this.
There is no such thing as a child prostitute. There's no such thing. A child cannot make a decision for herself. She's not mature enough, and in some cases it's boys too.
I got taken away from my mom when I was 12. I worked LA, Long Beach, like we would never go too far. I've been to Oakland and like SAC.
The way the life works is that the girls are just kept moving all around the country and on what is called a circuit. They can wake up one day and they can be in a completely different city.
So we changed that. In November of 2015, we began our Human Trafficking Bureau, where we dedicated 35 detectives and command staff and support staff and co-located our bureau along with the Human Trafficking Task Force, which are community-based organizations, as well as the Department of Children and Family Services, probation. We work with our federal partners, the FBI, the Marshal Service, and others.
When we rescue the girls, we're dealing directly with law enforcement. While we have direct services on the streets, our safe house is designed to provide aftercare services, because we just didn't want to be on the streets and saying, you know, come off the streets and not have anywhere for her to go.
Our mission is to rescue, restore, educate, and empower girls and women that are caught up in human trafficking.
Our drop-in center is housed on Long Beach Boulevard. Our goal is to have a place for young women that are on the track. And Long Beach Boulevard here in California is one of the training tracks that pimps use to train girls to go out. Many of the girls come in, they'll drop in, ask can they have something to drink, something to eat. They'll sit, receive prayer, and then they go back out.
We want them to be able to come in and use the computers to search for jobs, to research their cases, find their children, whatever it is that they need.
Our goal now is to figure out how do we reach those girls. So our street teams will often do street outreach on Long Beach Boulevard and go as far down as the 91 freeway. And as soon as you go further south, it gets real.
So I knew this girl from LA, like I met her when I was like 12, 13. We became really close, and like when she finally got a pimp, I decided to choose up with her pimp's cousin so I could be close with her still. We would always hoe together, like we would do double dates, like she was a really good friend to me. And one day we were on Fig and I was telling her like stop like being out of pocket, you know, like because we had both left our pimps, and I was like, stop being out of pocket, like don't look at like they're gonna pull up.
The girls are taught to look down because, and the reason they do that is because if they look one of the other pimps in the eye, it means that they are choosing that other pimp over the one that they're with.
Like if you heard a whistle when he came on the blade, like he blew a whistle, like, and if you're a smart bitch, like you will run, like you'll run because like, you know, like just that in itself, like it was bad, you know, like, and I just told her like, stay in pocket, like you need to stay in pocket, you know, like we need to act like we have folks to go home to, like we cannot, like knowing he's getting out of prison. And he got out, and I knew, like I had a feeling like this car that keeps pulling around, like bumping music, they haven't roll down their window, because usually pimps will be like, what's up, little baby, like choose up, say hey babe, like you want to pay me, bitch, like, you know, like they'll run their ism. But this pimp had not said anything. So like we're walking, we go back to the same corner, and this car pulls up again, but it goes around really fast. And I'm like, okay, maybe they're gone, you know? And the next time the car pulls up, like I was going to talk to a trick and I was on the other corner and she was on that side, and they hopped out. 6 guys hopped out. They dragged her down the alley. And she was just screaming. But what's I gonna do? What's I supposed to do?
Mostly here in this area, you have more of the guerrilla pimps, meaning that they instill fear in the women because the girls are controlled by gang members. Gang members are generally very serious about making their money.
The money has been a real lure for that, and the estimate is that if a kid does have 5 girls working for him, over the course of a year they can pull in anywhere between $600,000 and $800,000.
Most of them were guerrillas except one. I think it's because he was young. He was really young. Like he was like 18. But he had hoes.
There are what are called runners. Runners are, well, we call them wannabe pimps. What they will do is they will either ride bicycle or walk up and down the street and just make sure the girls are where they were supposed to be, following instructions. They pick up the money from the girls.
What we're seeing here is not a sex thing as much as it is a control thing, an abuse, an exploitation of a person, of a victim, of someone who's very vulnerable.
They can't come in unless they have made quota. And if they don't make quota, that involves violence. That involves broken teeth, broken bones, broken shoulders, black eyes.
Just things that us girls who have been in the life, like you guys might see like, oh, that's horrible. You know, like to me getting gang raped, like was a regular thing, you know, like because I was an out-of-pocket ass girl, you know, like so those things are regular. Like that just comes with the life.
70% of the cases, the kids came from the foster care system. So they're very vulnerable. They've been, some of them, abused from an early age, and they're looking for an identity. They're looking for love in many cases, and the pimp or the trafficker appeals to that.
I tried to leave, and I thought he didn't know, like, you know, so I asked one of my regulars to take me to the train station on Slauson. And he dropped me off, and like I was like, good, like I'm in the cool, like, you know, like I'll take the train to Long Beach and like I'll like go back to Orange County, you know, like I was walking up the train, like the train was coming, I saw the headlights. There was all these people. There was like at least 20 people, you know, like the train stations, they get really packed. And I was like, I'll be fine, you know, like I saw this car pull up, this BMW, and I look and I'm like, that's not his car, you know, like he has a white BMW, like it's fine. Like, so like I turn back around and I'm smoking my cigarette and I hear the door slam. I turn around one more time and he's like, bitch, what are you doing? And I was like, oh. I was gonna take the train to Sunset, and then he's like, why didn't you call me? And I was like, I didn't want to bother you till I made my quota. And then he's like, where's your trap? And I was like, I put it inside of me. And then he's like, all right, go. And I was like, okay, like, went walking towards the train, and then he grabs me, pulls me down by my hair, and just starts beating the shit out of me. And like I said, there was like 20 people there, and nobody did anything. Nobody did anything.
And to the public, we need your help. We need to be able to identify situations where this type of behavior is happening. We need to be able to get our patrol deputies out there in the field to be able to do an assessment, what do we have, and then to be able to call in detectives and all of the other resources that are so helpful in being able to rescue this young person, as well as to hold those accountable for the exploitation that's occurring.
We need to stop turning our heads to this problem. These girls are hurting. These girls are dying. They're dying physically. They're dying emotionally.
Our goals are threefold: rescue the young person, get them into school, get them the help they need to be able to stay on track. 2, go after the pimp and the trafficker with everything we have, publicize it to be able to create a deterrent for others who are looking to get into that field. And 3rd, go after the demand side, the so-called Johns that are actually predators, child molesters, pedophiles that are out there trying to victimize somebody who's very vulnerable.
I was in LA on Fig in 69th. This guy pulls up in a white van, and hoes, like, they talk, like, we'll socialize, like, oh, like, that's a suspect van, like, or we think that's Vice, like, whatever. So girls have been saying all night, like, don't get in that white van. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, bitch, like, y'all not getting to the money, like, y'all not down, like, bitch, you scared. So I got in this van, and the bitch was like, don't do it, Jasmine. And I was like, whatever, bitch. Like, got in the van, and this guy, like, he looked weird, you know, he looked weird. And he was like, so what are you doing tonight? And I was like, how much are you gonna pay me? Like, what do you want? You know, like, what's the deal? Like, and then we were talking, like, we went to the back of the van and heard this click. And I was like, what the hell was that? Like, and I was like, leave the doors unlocked. And he was like, all right, yeah, like, I will, you know. And I was turning around to look at my purse, and he grabs his towel and he puts it around my neck and he starts choking me. And I was like, what the fuck? Like in my head, I was thinking, like, this is the way I'm gonna die.
Now, if you go on Figueroa, you will get more of a mixture, because what happens is they come from Hollywood. And again, everyone knows where you can pick up girls. There are certain places in the city, if you want very, very young girls, you can go there. The demand nowadays are for younger and younger girls. I have seen some cases where even 7-year-old girls are out.
On a personal level, know that we are coming after you, that we do not tolerate this, that we are taking this very seriously, and we're using every tool at our disposal to be able to rescue and save these victims. And if you're involved in the exploitation of one of these victims, your future is not going to look bright.